Hello everybody, and welcome to another video. I'll be explaining everything you need to know about rebirthing. Then I'll give an example of how it's easiest to complete, and I'll leave timestamps in the description. I'll also post them on screen here, just in case you're looking for anything in specific. In Outlast trials, there is a release protocol. These will count under your records as reagents released, but for the video you'll hear me reference it as being rebirthed or reborn. When you're reborn, you lose absolutely nothing, except for all your release tickets, so I don't recommend trying to stock up on any, because you can't hold more than the 20 required. You also don't have to worry about any penalty for failing, as you don't lose your tickets for failed attempts, and you can retry immediately if you'd like. Now, the benefits of being reborn are, after your first rebirth, you unlock Advanced Therapy or Program X, they're the same thing. After each rebirth, you'll also unlock the ability to purchase one outfit. Now, the unlocked outfit is unfortunately random, but I actually kind of like that feature. And after 3 rebirths, you'll unlock Extreme Therapy, or Program Ultra as it's called. Once again, same thing. Now, I haven't unlocked this yet. As you can see, that is no longer the case. However, in Program Ultra, there are currently 6 missions, there are 2 trials, and 4 MK challenges. The biggest difference between Program X and Ultra is obviously the difficulty. Program Ultra is to be the highest difficulty, and Program X also gives a little less cash and roughly about half the XP. A little more than half, but yeah. If you have any questions about anything else, please let me know in the comments. Now I want to move on to the actual release protocol mission. Once you're ready to rebirth, you talk to the guy behind the counter and then walk through this door. Once you're able, you enter this pod and you sit in the chair. You'll get some dialogue, and once that's all done, you enter the next little pod and then the mission begins. Now I want to quick say that the mission is split into 5 objectives. In order, it's files, key, radios, film, and escape. Radios and film are kind of the same one, but I'm separating them because they're different objectives, just taking place at the same time. Now, I recommend bringing the healing rig, even if it's only level 1, because if you get hit at all, finding heals is very difficult, and as there's no time limit, you're safe to stall until your rig is ready. I also recommend having the slippers on so you can walk through the glass without making any noise. Sprinting does still set off the glass noise though, so keep that in mind. For the files, your objective is to bring the box to the desk you took it from during the tutorial. The private files go on the left, and the public files go to the right. Your gameplay experience will likely differ from mine, so just play intuitively and make sure you adapt as you go. Now, instead of just telling you what to do, since that won't work because it's not like the AI have a strict set path, instead I'll just give you some advice on what to do and what not to do. For starters, don't use the lever doors unless it's like the only option you have. Both sides have back routes to the doors on the left and right of the mini hall you spawned in. And another thing is that sound is very important. I heard the giant here, and instead of risking it and heading forward more, I decided to play it safe and be patient until he passed by. Remember, none of this is timed, so you can take it slow. Once you're sure the giant's out of range from you or aggroing you, that's when you should be moving the quickest. As soon as you hear the little sound indicating you were heard, I recommend hiding or leaving the area completely. Also, do your best to keep track of where they are. It sounds like an obvious thing, but when you're nervous and playing a tense game like this, simple things like that can slip your mind very easily. Another thing to be aware of is that both sides of the areas have someone hiding in lockers that will attack you. Always listen closely for them and make sure you don't set them off, as they can easily screw you over by either getting the giant's attention or giving the giant time to close the distance you made between the two of you. As soon as you finish putting both boxes on the desk, the stairs will open up. The stairs are in the hallways, so as soon as the hallway is clear and you're safe to, make a beeline straight for it. The downstairs is a safe haven from the giants specifically. If you can manage to get downstairs, you pretty much just lose them completely, since I don't know if they just can't follow you or they just won't. Next is the keys. Now, this section just feels a lot safer, so you can take it slower. On both doors, there's a TV screen that has a symbol on it. You need to find the bodies in the courtyard through the open door with the corresponding symbols. Just make sure that you take a mental note of the 2 symbols and you'll be fine. Now, there's only one enemy, however that enemy can see in the dark, but they also have a habit of trying to ambush, so just listen for them and stay out of their line of sight by using the trees as cover. There's also a chance of a mimic spawning if you take too long, but since it's dark they probably won't find you immediately, although there's also bricks around the place, so if a mimic does spawn, you can hit him with a brick once and it'll run away afterwards. The other risk is that the door you enter the courtyard from has a camera with a green light. If the camera spots you with a green light, then it'll shut the entrance until you're out of sight for a few seconds. If the guy in the courtyard sees you, keep in mind he can't see in the light, so run back to the illuminated area or hit him with a brick and then lose line of sight and hide until he wanders away. Finding the keys isn't too difficult, as you can see the symbols pretty clearly on the corpse's chest. Once you have the keys, make your way back to the locked doors, and make sure you're wary of the camera still, as it shutting can kinda screw you over. Unlock both doors, just in case you end up getting chased from one. You can run to the opposite hall and hide in that area. Past each gate you unlocked, there's a hallway. Down the hallway with the debris you vault over, there are 2 radios you have to realign. You can find them by listening for statically mumbling. However, there's also one enemy that wanders this area, so beware of that. I recommend just hiding in lockers and closets and just waiting for them to leave, because it's going to be the easiest way to go about this. In this first area, there will be a radio, and if you follow through these double doors, you'll find a projector playing. Keep this in mind for later. Now, the door on the right is the only one you can open, and in that dark room, there should be another radio. Once you have these 2 radios adjusted, head back towards the other hallway. There's also one enemy patrolling this area, and in this area, there will only be 1 radio for you to adjust, for a total of 3 radios. Now, I've seen this radio anywhere ranging from the room I'm currently in, all the way to the end of the loop this area has. I advise in this area you take it slow, make sure you listen for where the enemy is, and you listen for the staticking. It won't be too hard to find, as the radios are relatively loud with their staticking, so I don't think you'll have too much of a hard time finding it. When you finish the 3rd radio, all that's left is for one more thing before you can make your escape. Now, this is the aspect that I've seen a lot of people online saying took them up to an hour or something like that, but it's not too bad once you learn how the spawns for it work. Now, it'd be strange for the other hallway to have 2 radios and this area to only have 1, right? Right. Well, that's because this area also has the film reel. I've always found it in this dark room here, but the spawns are supposed to be random, so just keep that in mind, and it should always spawn in this section of the map at least. Once you end up finding the reel, I personally recommend you backtrack to spawn as opposed to looping around. This is just because you'll have come from the rooms behind you, and if you know the enemy isn't there, then yeah, you know it's safe. Unless the enemy did pass by there to where you came from, in that case just head forward, loop around. Whichever direction just doesn't have the enemy pretty much. Once you're in the main hall, continue down the hallway that had the vaultable debris and enter the room ahead. Then the double door room should have the projector again. That's why I told you to remember, because it is important. Replace the film on the projector, then run back to the main hallway, and the door on your left, which was previously locked, should be open. Now, this is the final part. Once you run out of the building, you'll see the train station down at the end, and there will be a door on the right just before you reach the shuttles. Enter the door on the right and follow the path. There's a part where you have to jump up and a part where you have to drop down. Before you drop down, I recommend you make sure you're full health. Now, as soon as you drop down, start sprinting as an enemy will spawn and begin to chase you. Now, keep running and slam through the door with the word employee only on them. Once you're through, you're safe. From this point on, there are no more risks. Just keep walking forward and a cutscene will begin, and it seems to be different each time, so I'm going to stop right here because I don't really want to spoil what happens. I really hope this helped, and if you have any more questions, I'd be glad to answer. Just make sure to leave a comment, and I'll get to them when I can. Have a great rest of your day, and adios.